Got two today. So I want to talk briefly about just basically it's come out that Vladimir Putin has he's been fighting cancer. He hasn't looked good for a few years, and there was a report that his arm went numb, and he's been having a lot of neurological symptoms. So this could be a lot of things. Could be even something to do with like brain cancer or something. I hope not, because I don't wish that on anyone. But it's interesting. I think pretty much anyone who watches this can agree that Americans, and for the most part, not all, but for the most part too, people in the Western world are cowards. So they're cowards who watch television. And media in the Western world trains people to like psychopaths, to act like psychopaths, and to hate and, to wish harm and to wish ill upon anybody who opposes the psychopaths that run the Western countries. So we're talking, the U.S. and its allies, the NATO countries, Australia, all those. The whole world's run by psychopaths, but, you know, there are rival factions. So here in the West, we're trained to do that, and it's been interesting since, the Trump presidency. The the Democratic Party is clearly not a peace party anymore. Um, it never was. It was just it was just a buzzword to get people elected. From starting in the Bush years. Because historically here in America, it's usually the Democrats who start the wars, and it's the Republicans that try to avoid them. And then in the 70s, well, late 60s, when Richard Nixon came in, it kind of flipped. And the Republicans loved war more. And the Democrats would cry, pacifism. So it flipped. So yeah, it was like Nixon, like escalating Vietnam, the war in Vietnam for a while. And then, Ronald Reagan with Grenada, George Bush Sr. with the invasion of Panama, and then Desert Storm, Gulf War One, and then Bush Jr. with Gulf War Two and Afghanistan and all that stuff. But once the Republicans became the warmongering boogeymen, then the Democrats could act like warmongers. Nobody noticed. So now, with President Dementia Biden in office, everybody's so distracted with COVID with Donald Trump that the Democratic Party can launch all kinds of wars, and nobody notices. And people who've been lifelong Democrats don't notice that their party's warmongering. So, the Pentagon, the White House talking about how we may have to go to war with China soon. We might have to go to war with Russia. We might have to go to war with Iran. We might have to go to war with North Korea. So it's like they're making plans to go to war with the entire world at once. That's the way it looks. So, yeah, we're run by psychopaths, and when they don't like somebody, they tell us in the media to hate that person. So the point to all that is these, especially these Democrats who were once peace loving are now pretty much openly more warmongering, but they don't really notice. And the target of their hate is it's kind of shifted from Trump to Putin. Putin was number two. Trump's out of office. Trump's caught up in some half-assed trial that's going to go nowhere in New York City. So Putin's kind of like number one for the hate now. And a lot of people are falling for this, and they're wishing him some horrible death, by cancer or assassination or both. Well, good luck with that. See, what media does is it gets us wrapped up in hexes. So what is a hex? And then bind spells too. And bind spells and hexes are different, but they're all about influencing someone else in a negative way. Um, not necessarily harming them, especially in the case of a bind spell, but hindering them somehow. So media runs these mass hexes and bind spells. Now the thing is, you can, if you understand magic, you can cast any spell you want on somebody because you've got free will. But when you're dealing with specially hexes and then bind spells too, you can't just go throwing those around because if you're wishing ill on somebody and you're hindering a person, whether it's in their health or their ability to make money or their ability to communicate or whatever, if you're wishing ill on somebody and you're hindering them and they haven't done something to you personally, then your malicious intent will not transfer to them. It'll get stuck inside you. So basically, let's say somebody has like tried to kill you, they've killed or harmed or attempted to harm a member of your family, they've taken your home away from you, they've run you out of business. If somebody's done that to you, has threatened your life or livelihood or loved ones, then you have a right to hex somebody or to use a bind spell. I don't recommend doing that because it's just dangerous. I've had people do some really insane shit to me. Um, in the course of my life, I've never done this. I've never sought to hex or bind anyone because it's just fucking dangerous and it's really a waste of your energy. Life life gets people in the end. You don't have to go around wishing ill and hexing people and putting binds on people. You can just let life catch up with people. I've had some really insane shit done to me. If I could get on TV, I could make the whole world cry. Literally, I'm not even fucking kidding. But I don't engage in this kind of thing because it snaps back at you. Um, I'm not even convinced that, even if somebody has done you wrong, that you can do this safely. But anyway, when you have emotions and you have a thought, you actually build up, a type of electromagnetic energy in your body and your mind. Now, if somebody has actually harmed you or tried to harm you, then the energy of this wish of harm upon them, what we would call a spell, that energy will actually transfer to that person and it will do something to that person. They'll have an accident, lose money, get sick, get killed, whatever. It does work under the right circumstances, but not something I recommend doing. So the point to this, when all these hate campaigns get whipped up in the media, against Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, whoever, or on the other side against some, left-wing leader, whoever. When media tells you to do this, and you start engaging in the hate and the ill wishing against somebody who's never done something to you, then you're participating in dark magic and it's going to blow back at you. Now, people will argue, well, that leader potentially could do some horrible thing to persecute people. Well, they could. But if they haven't done it, then basically it's like pre-crime. You're accusing somebody of a pre-crime that they might do. And even if somebody is persecuting somebody and it's not you, then you still can't, you know, go on the hate path and wish them ill because it'll blow back at you. You will, and you end up getting sick. Wishing other people ill who have not harmed you or somebody close to you. Wishing those people ill, that's a good way to get cancer, and especially, when people fixate on it. And it's no accident that for years the media was running these hexes against Donald Trump, and people were watching their televisions and watching their phones, laptops, whatever, and participating in it and feeding the hate. And now what? 60% of the population were used as lab rats for experimental needlecraft, experimental injections that more and more every day are turning out that wasn't a good idea. So they've got altered blood and DNA from this. And the people who welcomed it most sent the most hate to Donald Trump, which really in the end only boosted his charisma. It didn't harm him a bit. And this is the thing too, when somebody tells you to hate somebody else and you jump on the bandwagon, you just feed the charisma of the person you're told to hate. So it's so fucking counterproductive. So yeah, I'm kind of, there's a lot of Putin haters out there in the West, and he's like Donald Trump. He doesn't hide who he is. He does what every other world leader does. He just doesn't hide it. He doesn't have a kumbaya drum circle and act like he's all progressive and nice and cute and cuddly and compassionate. He doesn't hide it. And I'd rather deal with a person who's openly an asshole than a sneaky asshole. Sneaky assholes are much more clever. And here's the thing. We've all manipulated somebody at some point. And the thing you have to ask yourself is and we've all been manipulated. So in either case, you have to ask yourself, how and why was the manipulation successful? It was successful because if you did the manipulating, somebody liked or loved you, and if they manipulated you, you liked or loved them. So the people who can successfully manipulate us are the ones that tell us things or even everything that we want to hear. People who make you angry and who say things you don't want to hear, they can't manipulate you. So think about that here. So yeah, I don't recommend jumping on the Putin hate wagon because it's a good way to get cancer. It's a good way to be part of the next medical experiment that comes along. And I think early next year, maybe even late this year, November-ish at the very earliest, there may be another medical experiment involving needlecraft. So, yeah, bear this in mind and don't get sucked into it because the consequences could be disastrous. I think that's everything. So, yeah, I don't wish any ill on Mr. Putin. He's the bad man Russia needs because Central Intelligence on behalf of Wall Street and Fortune 500 are trying to take Russia over and loot Russia, basically rape the whole country for all its resources. And I don't think this will happen. NATO is failing and they will fail. And, NATO is just, they're just mob enforcers for bankers and for, corporate frat boys and corporate sorority girls. And they're not going to succeed. The only conquest of Russia there ever was the Soviets, was the communists taking Russia over, sponsored by Wall Street. and it was done from within. And they've gotten smart to how Wall Street and how Fortune 500 operate via the intelligence services that they own and sponsor. So, yeah, Russia's not falling to these people. So, yeah, don't jump on the hate wagon. It has disastrous consequences, which we've already seen. So, have a nice one. Talk to you later.